Leo, listen closely. There's a dangerous shift coming between November 9th and 11th, and if you've been feeling uneasy lately, like something's quietly moving under the surface of your life, you're not imagining it. This isn't just another horoscope. This is a wake-up call. The universe is signaling that something big is about to shake the foundations of what you thought was stable. You can either turn away, or you can get ready. It's easy to mistake silence for peace. But silence can also mean something's about to break. And when it does, you don't want to be caught off guard. These next few days are not meant to scare you, they're meant to prepare you. The energy around you is changing rapidly. Old illusions are collapsing. Truths you've been avoiding are rising to the surface. And no, you're not the only one feeling it. Maybe you've been more tired than usual, more anxious, dreaming strange things. Maybe someone in your life has been acting distant or secretive. Or maybe there's a choice you've been putting off, one you know deep down you can't ignore anymore. That's not random. That's spiritual pressure. That's divine timing trying to get your attention before the shift hits harder. Here's the real truth: not every storm comes to destroy. Some come to clean house. Some come to wake us up. The tower is falling not to punish you, but to clear space for something far more aligned. But only if you're paying attention. I'm not here to sugarcoat anything. I've walked through this energy myself, the kind that tests your faith, your strength, your decisions. I know what it feels like to hold everything together with a smile while your soul is screaming for change. I know what it means to ignore those signs until they explode in your face. So when I tell you to stay alert, I mean it. This is not the time to drift through life on autopilot. Leo, you're a natural leader. But even the strongest leaders need to pause and reevaluate. What are you building your life on right now? Is it truth? Or convenience? Are you letting pride silence your intuition? The moon in your chart is revealing shadows, and the universe is asking if you're brave enough to face them. This message found you for a reason. You didn't land here by accident. I don't care if you were scrolling late at night or if someone sent you this, something in your spirit pulled you here. So let's honor that. Take a moment to ground yourself. Breathe deep. Listen not just with your ears, but with your whole body. What is your gut telling you? What are you being called to see that you've been trying to avoid? Now more than ever, this is your chance to step into awareness. And I promise, if you stay with me until the end, you'll not only understand what this shift means, you'll know exactly how to move through it with power and clarity. If this message is already hitting home, leave a comment below and say, I feel the shift. Your voice matters here. Your presence matters. Every comment, every like, every subscribe connects you more deeply to this soul family we're building here at Eternal Mindfulness. Let's walk this path together. You're not alone in this shift, and by the end of this, you'll see why. Stay with me. Let's begin. When Uranus moves into direct aspect with your Leo sun, it doesn't just send a subtle nudge, it sends a jolt. It's like standing outside right before a summer storm hits. The air gets heavy, the sky turns electric, and your instincts kick in even before the first drop of rain falls. That's where you are right now. Something is shifting, and you can feel it not just around you, but inside you. And if it's unsettling, that's okay. Growth rarely begins with comfort. This cosmic tension isn't random. Uranus, known as the planet of disruption, liberation, and revolution, doesn't bring chaos for the sake of drama. It brings chaos to break open the places where we've been living a lie, even if that lie is wrapped in routine, comfort, or the identity we've outgrown. Right now, Leo, you are being asked to examine what you've built your life around. Have you been clinging to roles or relationships that no longer fit who you are becoming? Have you been trying to control a narrative that needs to shift? The universe isn't punishing you, it's realigning you. The cards reflect this with stunning clarity. The Tower is not an easy archetype to face. No one likes to watch something fall apart, especially not a Leo who's worked so hard to keep things upright. But when the Tower shows up, it's not about destruction for destruction's sake. It's a sacred demolition. It's the tearing down of false structures, old beliefs, illusions, and expectations so something real and grounded can take their place. Sometimes, truth doesn't whisper. Sometimes it roars. And when paired with the moon, the message deepens. There are shadows around you right now, perhaps in relationships, in your own self-talk, or even in the roles you've been asked to play. The moon doesn't accuse, it invites. It invites you to walk softly through the fog and ask, what am I not seeing clearly? It reminds you that fear often distorts, and that clarity only comes when you're brave enough to walk through the haze instead of avoiding it. But here's where it shifts from just forecast to empowerment. The card Judgment appears not to condemn, but to awaken. This is the call, the soul's invitation to rise. To see yourself clearly. To forgive yourself for staying too long, or trying too hard, or dimming your light to fit in. And to choose differently now. Judgment isn't about regret, it's about return. A return to truth. A return to freedom. A return to that original fire inside you that knew exactly who you were before the world started layering expectations on top of you. In the center of it all is the Strength card, your card. The reminder that courage doesn't roar, it endures. It sits with discomfort. It waits without reacting. It breathes even when the storm is loud. You don't need to fight your way through this shift. You only need to stay open, stay honest, and stay grounded in the kind of strength that comes from deep trust in yourself. That's the version of you this transformation is trying to bring forward. And if you've been feeling stuck mentally, emotionally, or even spiritually, the Eight of Swords is your mirror. It says, you've been seeing life through a filter of fear. You've been assuming you have no choice. But you do. You always do. That cage is unlocked. The only thing holding you in is the belief that you're trapped. This is the time to question those beliefs. To ask, what would I do if I believed I was free? So write this down. I choose to see what has been hidden. Let that be your prayer, your affirmation, your declaration. Because once you commit to seeing, the universe starts moving. Through dreams. Through signs. Through conversations that feel too perfectly timed to be coincidence. This is how spirit whispers, how healing begins, not in dramatic thunderclaps, but in small, faithful steps toward the light. Sometimes opportunity doesn't show up with a spotlight and a trumpet. Sometimes it walks in quietly, dressed like a test. And when you're Leo, used to taking the lead, used to sensing your way through chaos, it can be easy to assume you've got it all under control. But this time, the energy is trickier. What looks like a chance to leap forward in your career or financial life might actually be a disguised invitation to pause and reevaluate everything you've built up to this point. That's what this moment is asking of you. With the Ace of Pentacles appearing next to the Tower, we're being shown a very specific message. Potential is real, but stability is non-negotiable. You might be offered something that seems promising: a new deal, a new contract, a new partnership, but underneath all that sparkle, you have to ask yourself one hard question. Is this built on solid ground? If not, the fall won't be gentle. That doesn't mean you should reject what's new or exciting. It means your discernment matters more now than ever. Because the truth is, not every golden opportunity is meant to be grabbed. Some are meant to wake you up. Some are meant to show you the cracks in your foundation. Some are meant to remind you that no matter how badly you want to move forward, there are things that need to be finished, cleaned up, or released before you do. This energy isn't about punishment. It's about preparation. The universe is asking you to check in with your emotional integrity before making any bold financial or career moves. Is your motivation driven by lack or fear of missing out? Are you tempted to say yes to something just because you're tired of waiting? This kind of energy demands patience, not impulse. And sometimes, Leo, the most courageous thing you can do is slow down. Your inner compass, that deep intuitive part of you, already knows which direction feels right. But it gets drowned out when your mind starts spinning with urgency, anxiety, or the fear of being left behind. This is where self-trust becomes your anchor. And not the kind of surface-level confidence you show the world. I'm talking about the quiet kind, the kind that says, I don't need to chase what's already mine. I just need to clear the way for it. Here's something practical you can do. Make a list of 3 things, just 3, that you've been avoiding or leaving unfinished. Maybe it's a conversation you keep putting off. Maybe it's financial clutter that needs cleaning up. Maybe it's a part of yourself you've been ignoring. Whatever they are, commit to bringing closure to them this week. These aren't just chores, they are energy leaks. And when you plug those leaks, you create space for new abundance to arrive without chaos. You see, according to the law of attraction, the universe doesn't just respond to what you want. It responds to what you're ready for. And being ready often means doing the unglamorous work of preparation, not because you're afraid, but because you respect the life you're building. If you're asking for more income, more recognition, more peace, ask yourself first, am I ready to hold it without crumbling? The shift you're in is sacred. You are being led, not pushed. So let the fire in your spirit fuel clarity, not impatience. Trust the delays. Honor the process. And above all, know this: when the time is truly right, nothing can stop what's meant for you. Not even you. Love can be a beautiful mirror, but it can also be a maze, especially when the moon appears in your path. If you've been feeling off in your relationships lately, if something feels just a little off, but you can't quite explain it, you're not making it up. This is the energy of the moon, a time when the surface no longer matches what's brewing underneath. And when you're Leo, a sign that loves with boldness, with loyalty, with your whole fire-lit heart, navigating emotional shadows can feel frustrating, even disorienting. But this moment isn't about being right. It's about being real. You might be in a relationship right now where things look okay on the outside, but inside, something has shifted. Conversations feel a little colder. Eye contact is rarer. You find yourself replaying moments, second-guessing whether you're imagining the distance or if it's truly there. And maybe the truth is, you've both been holding back. Holding in pain, avoiding hard conversations, pretending things are still working when they're quietly unraveling behind the curtain. That's not failure, it's human. But pretending longer won't fix it. The moon is here to ask, are you brave enough to see clearly, even when clarity is inconvenient? And if you're single, the energy is no less intense. Sometimes the most confusing part of being alone is encountering someone who looks like everything you've been dreaming of on paper. The chemistry sparks, the attraction is real, and yet something doesn't sit right. The moon reminds us that illusions aren't just about people who lie to us. They're also about the fantasies we build to avoid facing what we actually need. Are you being drawn to someone's potential or their truth? Are you chasing the idea of love, or are you ready for the real thing, the kind that challenges and refines you? These questions aren't meant to scare you. They're here to open your eyes. The moon doesn't judge, it illuminates. It shows you where the blind spots are, and it asks you to trust your inner knowing even when you don't have all the facts yet. This is your chance to come back to emotional honesty, not just with others, but with yourself. Have you been pretending you're okay when you're not? Smiling through disappointment? Holding yourself back from expressing your full heart out of fear it won't be received? And here's where the healing begins. Write a letter to your past self, maybe the version of you from 6 months ago, or even 6 years ago, and thank them for everything they went through. Thank them for how they loved, even when it ended. Thank them for how they stayed hopeful, even through pain. This small act helps you reconnect with your emotional resilience, your dignity and love, your truth. That's the real power, not having it all figured out, but being willing to stay open in a world that tells you to shut down. Then, speak this gently over yourself. I allow real love to find me, in its timing, in its fullness, in its truth. Let this be your anchor. Let it guide you back to your own inner light, so that when someone comes, not just anyone, but the one who sees your soul and not just your smile, you'll be able to recognize it. And yes, it's possible. Because when you walk through the energy of the moon with integrity, the Two of Cups often follows. That's the reward. The promise. A love that feels mutual. Clear. Whole. Not perfect but honest. So if this part of your life has felt foggy, don't rush to fix it. Just be present with it. Trust what your body is telling you. Sometimes your nervous system knows what your heart hasn't admitted yet. And that's okay. This isn't about control, it's about compassion. Real love will always start with how honest you're willing to be with yourself. Let that be the way forward. When it comes to your well-being, Leo, you are often the one others rely on. The strong one. The vibrant one. The one who still shows up with a smile even when you haven't slept well in days. But lately, maybe that mask has gotten harder to wear. Maybe your body has started whispering what your mind keeps trying to override, a sense of being out of sync, overstretched, or emotionally wired in ways you can't explain. That flutter in your chest, the shallow breath, the tossing and turning at night, they're not just random symptoms. They're your body trying to speak for your soul. You see, when cosmic energy intensifies, especially during periods of major shifts like we're seeing now, your body becomes a translator for what your spirit can't yet put into words. If you've been waking up already tired, struggling to focus, or feeling like your nervous system is on high alert even when everything seems fine, you're not alone. These aren't flaws. These are signs. And ignoring them isn't strength, it's delay. What your body needs right now is not to tough it out, but to tune in. Energy congestion happens when emotion, stress, or uncertainty builds up faster than we allow ourselves to process it. That's why this moment is about slowing down, not speeding up. It's about listening, not fixing. Instead of pushing through, you're being invited to pay attention, not in fear, but with compassion. That's the deeper work of healing. Because your health isn't just physical. It's energetic, emotional, spiritual. And every system in you is interconnected, speaking the same language beneath the noise. A gentle but powerful practice I often recommend in times like these is energy journaling, just 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes before bed. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Where do I feel it in my body? You don't have to solve anything. Just notice. The simple act of naming your emotion can begin to release its grip. It takes the unnamed tension out of your nervous system and brings it into the light where it can soften. And then, help your body come back into its own rhythm. Warm water throughout the day, no caffeine after early afternoon, and focused breathing, especially box breathing, can create an incredible reset for your entire energy field. It's not about being perfect. It's about giving yourself a moment of presence. That one pause can make all the difference between reacting from stress and responding from clarity. If you're feeling emotionally scattered, look at what you're eating. Not from a place of guilt, but from a place of awareness. Highly processed food and refined sugar may seem comforting in the moment, but they can disrupt your energetic alignment, leaving you more anxious, foggy, or emotionally volatile. Instead, try to include foods that bring you back to life, ones rich in B vitamins, magnesium, omega-3s. Think of every bite as either fuel for your light or friction in your circuit. You don't need a strict plan. You need conscious choices. And sometimes that starts with a single glass of water, a single skipped soda, or a single moment of self-honesty. Your body is more than a vessel, it's a sacred container for your light. And right now, that light is trying to shine more fully. But it can't if it's flickering through layers of exhaustion, suppressed emotion, or overstimulation. So take this moment not as a warning, but as an invitation, a chance to come back to yourself. Not just to heal, but to remember who you are beneath the pressure, beneath the chaos, beneath the constant demand to perform. Give yourself permission to be a sanctuary, not just for others, but for your own heart, your own breath, your own being. That's how you protect your energy. That's how you reset your nervous system. And that's how you begin to glow from the inside out again, exactly as you were always meant to. It's one thing to love deeply. It's another to carry people so often that you start forgetting how to stand for yourself. And Leo, I know how easily that can happen to someone like you. You lead with your heart. You protect those you love like a lion standing guard at the edge of the pride. You're the one they come to when they need strength, clarity, or a steady presence in the middle of their storms. But lately, it might feel like you're holding everything together for everyone while inside, you're the one quietly unraveling. The energy of the Seven of Wands in this context doesn't just speak of external conflict. It points to internal depletion. It's the image of someone standing tall with 1,000 hands pulling at them. Every call you answer. every problem you solve, every emotion you absorb. Over time, that takes its toll. Even a lion needs rest. Even a heart as big as yours needs space to be held, not just to hold. If you've been feeling exhausted around certain family members or close connections, or sensing unspoken guilt when you say no, it's time to pause and ask yourself some honest questions. Am I giving out of love or out of obligation? Am I showing up because I truly want to, or because I'm afraid of what will happen if I don't? Who is draining me without ever offering to pour anything back in? These questions aren't easy, but they are necessary. Because emotional burnout doesn't just appear overnight. It creeps in slowly, masked as duty, until suddenly you're left empty with nothing left to give, not even to yourself. This is where boundaries become a sacred act of love. Not walls. Not rejection. Just a gentle but firm, this is what I can give right now and this is where I need space. It's remembering that preserving your peace is not a betrayal of others, it's a commitment to your own well-being. And Leo, your well-being matters. You matter. Your worth isn't defined by how much you can carry for others, but by how fully you're able to live from a place of alignment and authenticity. Sometimes the people closest to us don't realize how much we're carrying until we set the bags down. And sometimes, they never will, which makes it even more important that you stop waiting for permission to take care of yourself. You don't need anyone's approval to rest. You don't owe everyone access to you just because they're family. Being available 24/7 isn't love, it's overextension. And you weren't born to burn out. You were born to shine. One simple but powerful action you can take this week is to carve out just 24 hours that are fully yours. No explanations. No compromises. Turn off your phone. Go somewhere quiet. Take a walk without your headphones. Journal without editing. Not because you're escaping, but because you're returning to your center. That version of you that isn't being tugged in 10 directions. That version of you who remembers what it feels like to breathe deeply and feel like you belong to yourself again. And the next time someone asks for something you can't give, practice saying, I can't do that right now, but I hope you understand. Say it without apology. Say it with self-respect. That simple sentence might be the most powerful act of love you give, not just to yourself, but to everyone around you. Because when you show others how you value your own energy, you teach them how to value theirs too. Remember, your family doesn't need the overworked version of you. They need the whole version, the rested, present, emotionally honest one. And that version can only emerge when you decide you're worth protecting, too. Let this be the week you reclaim that. Let this be the moment you come home, not just to others, but to yourself. You don't need to fear November 9th to 11th, but you do need to be awake. You need to be present. Because what's coming isn't a punishment. It's a calling. A chance to rise into the version of you that's always been waiting beneath the surface, just behind the fear, just beyond the illusion. The world isn't asking you to be perfect, Leo. It's asking you to be true. So let me ask you this: what truth have you been avoiding? What truth do you already know in your bones but haven't had the courage to face? And more importantly, what would shift in your life if you finally honored that knowing? This week, the keywords for you aren't just cosmic, they're deeply personal. I see, because you were born with the light that reveals. I choose, because you're not here to be pushed around by fate. And I lead, because you're a Leo, the one who doesn't flinch when the thunder rolls, the one who meets the unknown with open eyes and an open heart. Maybe all of this has stirred something in you. Maybe you felt the tension building, but now you understand what it's been pointing to. Maybe for the first time in a long time, you feel ready to stop bracing for impact and start preparing for breakthrough. So take what we explored today and practice it. Even if you only start with one thing: breathing deeper, saying no with love, finishing what's been left undone, or simply listening more closely to your body or your intuition, that's enough. Small changes create momentum. And momentum creates transformation. This is your reminder: you are not here to simply survive cosmic shifts. You are here to co-create with them. To move with awareness. To set intention. To claim your place in the unfolding of your own destiny. You've already made it this far. Now it's time to move forward with clarity. If this message resonated with something inside you, if you've been sensing that something is rising, I want you to leave a comment below and write, "I'm ready to step into my destined light." I read every single comment, and they're not just words on a screen, they're a declaration to the universe that you are showing up for yourself. And if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness and turn on the notifications. There are more messages coming, messages made just for you, to help guide, inspire, and remind you that you're not alone in this path. Leo, you are the light. You are the fire. You are the one who walks through the storm not to prove anything to anyone, but because that's just who you are. A soul born to shine. And you will never be consumed by the dark. As long as you're willing to look into it and keep your flame alive.